You know, it's always it's beauty and the beast. This is beauty.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. It's not about my looks, but my blue side. Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You know, she not still do that age, she'll be fine. Yes, sir.
Oh, great, great. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And it's pure state of the county. It's based upon the 10 years.
Has anyone heard from Lionel? I mean, technically, we have a quorum. We can proceed. So we could give another minute if you wanted to. But it's entirely up to you if you'd like to call the meeting to order. No, he did not say anything today, but he did not indicate that he wasn't going to be here. So
Hey, so just is Lionel home? Thank you. I need your phone. First item on the business is just no old business.
we do need to approve the minutes first.
Right.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Give a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Right, okay. Approved. New business.
All right, so the first item under new business is TMS number 137-1105-007-205 East 6th South Street, Zone GR2, General Residential, owned by Theodore H. Huge, trustee of the Meg Trust number 7. Variance request to increase the permitted height of the non-opaque fence in the front yard from 4.5 feet to 8 feet in height. Ordinance section 2.3.6A. This is the property in question between South Gum and South Magnolia Street on South 6th. So the request is to allow for a fence in the front yard that's taller than the permitted 4.5 feet. Section 2.3.6A states walls or fences may encroach within the minimum required setbacks of up to the property lines. Encroaching non-opaque fences in the front yard shall be no greater than 4.5 feet in height. Encroaching walls in the front yard shall be no greater than 3 feet in height. So, background for this, the applicant did meet with town staff to go over the requirements for the construction of the house on the property. During that meeting, the fence height restriction in the front yard was provided. The need for a variance was identified in May, and an email was sent June 1st of 2023 to the applicant detailing outstanding issues that would need to be addressed before a certificate of occupancy would be issued to allow the structure to be occupied by the owner. The applicant did not respond to the notification until a meeting was scheduled to discuss the issues on August 22nd, 2023. During this meeting, the outstanding issues were discussed, and it was determined that a variance application would be necessary to address the heights of the columns that make up the fence in the front yard. Staff feels that the applicant does not meet all 4 criteria and that a hardship is not present. Extraordinary conditions do not exist on the property, though the applicant was officially notified after construction of the fence had nearly completed. The location and the height had been previously discussed. B, other properties in the area are subject to the same requirements regarding fences in the front yard. C, utilization of the property is not eliminated with the height restriction for the fence in the front yard. This requirement is to provide better visibility for vehicles entering and leaving the property. And D, detriment will not be caused to other properties by the issuance of this variance at this location. As I said, the referenced email. So these columns in the front yard as part of the fence exceed, I believe all of them exceed the 4.5 feet height restriction. You can see, especially this one here, I believe this one's the 8-footer. So the variance request is to go up to the maximum height for the tallest column to accommodate potentially all of the columns that would be covered by this. This is letter of authorization from the property owner, which is in a trust, very standard process there. That is not. And then we do have the owner's assessment of the 4 criteria. I hope that the board has taken the time to read this. To summarize, the extraordinary conditions stated by the applicant is a safety situation for the fence height in this particular location. Obviously, based on the information provided here, you know, there have been some unfortunate events at the property, as well as a couple burglar situations and break-ins on the construction site. The other property in the area, they are addressing other issues that we are continuing to work through, but they do feel that their property is unique regarding the fencing situation. Because of the, as far as utilization goes, because of the extraordinary conditions, the application of this chapter's provisions would prohibit or unreasonably restrict our family's safety and security on this property. And D, detriment, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties or the public good. At this time, I do know that the applicant is here and he can address any questions that you have of him. Otherwise, if you have questions that I can address, please feel free to do so.
Would you like to address it? Ethan?
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon or evening, gentlemen. So I think we need to take note though on the actual fence itself. The panels of the fence is actually 5 feet. Just the columns are, again, the ones on the far right. If you're standing up looking at the house, on the far right, what you see there, those are the 8-foot columns, but all the panels are 5-foot panels. Yeah. So I think, when we say, okay, 8-foot fence, you're thinking, everything's 8 foot, but the panels are 5-foot panels. Yeah. I definitely want to answer any questions that you may not have.
How far off the pavement is that fence?
Off the pavement.
Yes,
The street?
The street.
yeah, the street.
Oh, so we have 100-foot right of way in there. And I think most folks in the town have a 50-foot right of way. So we have 100-foot right of way. So it's, I can only give you off my property line. It's probably like 2 feet away from my property line, 2 to 4 feet away from my property line itself.
So that is maybe 20 feet from the actual roadway.
No, that's probably like 98 foot away from the actual roadway. Yes, sir.
From the edge of pavement, probably about 20 to 25 feet. You can see in the picture that it's deep enough in the right of way for trucks, vans to park with enough room, between the edge of pavement and the back of the bumper. So standard parking space is 19 feet. I would assume it's probably about 25.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Tim, would you go back to the page 1 of the staff report?
Yes.
All right, just to clarify for me, where it under the top ordinance requires with the ordinance section, when it says encroaching, what's the definition of encroaching?
It's coming within the required setback.
Of the street?
An encroachment is anything that enters into the required yard. So in this particular instance, this would be the front yard.
Mhm.
Any structures, anything that extends into that. So in GR2, there's a 30-foot front setback that be from the edge of the property line, the edge of the right of way to where the building can start. Any construction located between the front face of the home and that front property line would be an encroachment within the front setback. Steps, porches, decks, things like that would normally be attached to the front of the house are permitted to project into that front setback a certain amount. Fences in the front yard are considered an encroachment, and we restrict their height for a see-through or non-opaque fence as defined here. The maximum height for that fence is 4.5. If it was a solid, completely opaque wall or fence, maximum height would be 3 feet.
And we don't have any diagrams to indicate how far into that 30-foot right of way that this is protruding. I think John was asking a roundabout question. You said it was about 20, 25 feet.
So if we look here on this, and I'll take my hand off so it's not moving around the cursor. The heavy line at the front is the front property line. That fence that's in question is on that front property line. You can see here, edge of pavement, EOP on the plot. That is the edge of pavement. And he has approximately, I didn't scale it off, but at least 25 feet from the edge of pavement to where that fence is located. And that fence is on his property entirely, there, encroaching in the front yard of the property, the private property, not encroaching within the right of way, which would be the road.
If that fence were approximately 5 feet closer to the house, this would not have been.
No, it actually, any location within that front yard. So if he had set it off 5 feet, back from that, it still would be considered an encroachment. The only time that it would not be considered an encroachment in the front yard is if he had pulled that fence back to a line that across with the front face of the house.
Okay,
If it was even with that, it would no longer be encroaching into the front yard.
okay.
So just to be clear, Tim, we're talking about not encroaching property wise, but encroaching setback wise.
Yeah, just its location is just considered an encroachment into that required front yard, which should be free and clear according to the zoning of structures. This is a structure.
Well, I have in my neighborhood a house that they're within a foot.
Your neighborhood was built before this particular requirement was established. This was codified with the approval of the UDO in 2019. I don't think that there are a lot of fences in the front yards in your neighborhood.
There's one.
Not many. But yeah, it's not something that where this house is located, it's very close to the historic district. I believe the next property over is within the district. He's kind of mimicking some of the historic nature in that area where they did define their front yards and they did have the fences right up there. So it's not out of nature with the area of the historic district, though it's not located within the district.
Because you have another picture if you go down. It gives you better, I guess it goes the other way. Yeah. Yeah, the next, let's see. Go down more, I think. Yeah, I guess number 12. Well, that one you have up, the one you just had gives you a better idea. Okay. Any other questions?
I'll move we grant the variance. I'll move that we grant the requested variance.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Raise your right hand.
Thank you.
There's no other
Um,
business. I'll move to adjourn.
Virgil, did you sign in? I just want to make sure that, excellent. I just wanted to address one thing real quick before we do adjourn. I wanted to make sure that you all are aware that the 7-member setup has been approved. We've advertised for those positions. So starting January of 24, this board will have 7 members instead of 5.
Second.
Have a good evening.